Hello and welcome to Bible Drills, where we take a few minutes of time in God's timeless Word. We're studying the book of Mark together, and we're taking a look at the life of Christ and being instructed, encouraged, guided, and fed from God's Word, feeding our souls. Today is going to be a little bit, probably a little shorter, but it also, I think, has a very significant point. And let's get right into our story. Jesus no longer is going to be entangling himself with the Pharisees and those who are really trying to catch him up and to make him discredit him and his ministry. Instead, this time he's going to go up a mountainside, probably in the hills of Galilee, outside the Sea of Galilee, and there he's going to make some important decisions. The book of Luke tells us in this same story, in Luke chapter 6, that Jesus spent the night praying before he selected his 12 disciples. And here we find this story given from Mark's perspective, from chapter 3, starting at verse 13. Jesus went up a mountainside and called to him those he wanted, and they came to him. He appointed 12, that they might be with him and that he might send them out to preach and to have authority to drive out demons. And these are the 12 that he appointed: Simon, to whom he gave the name Peter; James, the son of Zebedee, and his brother John. To them he gave the name Boanerges, which means sons of thunder; Andrew, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James, son of Alphaeus, Thaddaeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him. You look at that list, and anytime you see a list, you always want to kind of figure out, well, okay, why did these guys get selected? I mean, there were a lot of people following Jesus, and he had asked a few of them to follow him, but there were far, far more. And Jesus took some time, he prayed about it, and he came up with these 12. And really, I guess you could start by just simply agreeing with someone who wrote a book, and I can't remember the name of it right now, but I remember the name of the book, which was the Gospel of the Ragamuffin Gospel, which is the description of Jesus selecting these ragtag people to be his disciples. These are the ones he chose to change the world. And you think to yourself, how did they qualify? And really, honestly, they didn't. They were chosen because Jesus in prayer chose them. And I love the description that he gives, because it's a very welcoming description. He goes up a mountainside, he calls those he wanted. I like that. He wanted them. It's a little bit like understanding the value in adoption. When you're adopted into a family, it's because they want you. Now, when you're born into a family, of course, that's a very different thing. They have you, and you are theirs, and I'm part of the family. But if I'm adopted in, it's because I want you to be there. There's a wanting part, and of course, if you're born in, people want to have children, so they're wanted that way as well. And adoption is one of those things where you didn't have a family when suddenly you do. And I think it's got that kind of undertone to it. He wanted them, and they came to him. It was kind of a nice combination going on there. And he appointed 12 that they might be with him. So that's one aspect of it, to be with Jesus, and that he might send them out to preach and to have authority to drive out demons. So there's this kind of combination that's going on, that he calls them because he wants them, and they come. And then he trains them, he teaches them, he's showing them how to live out their faith. He's being an example to them that they could follow, so that they would be with him for that purpose. And then he had a mission, that he would send them out to preach and to have authority to drive out demons. And this, I think, is a very good way of understanding how Jesus calls us. He wants us to be with him. So he wants you, he wants me. And we have to choose. We come with him or we don't. It's that simple. But if we come with him, then he will teach us. He will show us. He will be the example to us. And we will be with him. That, I think, is really important. More important than what we do is who we are with him. And I remember a time in my ministry when someone told me that very same thing. And they said, God is not as interested in what you do for him as he is interested in you. And I think that's a very important thing to have kind of drilled down into your brain, into your heart, that he wants you to be with him. You choose to come, and then you spend time with him. And then out of that spending time with him, he gives you a mission. He gives you tasks to perform. In this case, for them, it was to preach and to have authority to drive out demons. And for us, it can be the same. It doesn't have to change, but it can be other things as well. But God has a work that he has designed that specifically fits you. And as you even go through this list, I mean, we don't know a lot about that center bunch, like Andrew, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James, son of Alphaeus, Thaddaeus. We don't know a lot about them. Simon the Zealot. There's just not a lot written about them. You get far more, of course, from Judas, who's the one who betrayed him. And even that is interesting in itself, that he picked someone who would betray him. But it gives you a sense of hope that he calls us to himself. We choose to come, which is, I guess you could say in essence, we choose Jesus to be our leader. And then we are with him. He shows us how to live life. He exemplifies what it is to be godly. And then he has a mission for us to accomplish. He gives us something that he wants us to do. And I think it's good for us to spend time around those thoughts. Jesus, I come to you. Jesus, I want to spend time with you. Jesus, I know you have a ministry that you're calling me to, and I want to do what you ask me to do, what you've created me for. And I won't listen to the lies that I'm not qualified or good enough to do those things. And so that, I think, is a very important lesson for us today that we can learn from Jesus' selection of the 12 disciples.